global interstate system. Now, the global interstate system is the fundamental basis of a competitive commodity economy at a global system level, as defined by our material. Now, when we say interstate, it means that it is existing or carried on between states. You can think of it like expressways or basically connections that are formed in between countries because of international trading or global trading or the flow of goods, capital, people, etc. Now, when we say it is the fundamental basis of a competitive commodity economy, as we have discussed before on our previous slide, what is commodity? Okay, if you would remember, commodity has three characteristics. First is that it is a physical asset, it is tangible. Second is it is used as a raw material in the production of other goods and services. And third, it, it has value, meaning that it can be traded or exchanged to another commodity of the same value. Now, by definition, the global interstate system is also a system of international relations. Whenever we say international relations or IR, uh, it is defined as the study of the interconnectedness of politics, economics, and law on a global level. Basically, it is how the economy and politics of different countries are related and how they affect one another. So that is internal relations. Now, under the global interstate system, we actually have three concepts that we will be discussing. Now, these aspects, so to speak, of the global interstate system are proof that it actually exists in the contemporary world. So we have economic interdependence, we have economic integration, and we also have political integration. Let's first define what economic interdependence is. So, economic interdependence is the relationship between countries in which each country is dependent on another country for necessary goods or services. One good example of economic interdependence is international trade. So, international trade are trades that take place between two or more countries due to the lack of production capabilities of a specific product of one country. And on the other side, there is a mastery of the same product of the other country. Now, for example, Asian countries have a good climate for growing and harvesting commodities like regional fruits, rice, cotton, and other essential commodities. While other countries like European countries, countries like the United States, they might not be able to grow those commodities or those products for themselves because of factors like the weather, climate, humidity, and any other reasons. So usually they import these products or these crops from Asian countries like the Philippines. Now, similarly, certain goods or products which cannot be manufactured or obtained in Asian countries are imported from other countries as well. So this system makes different countries ec- economically interdependent. So that's how economic interdependence is is observed in between countries. Another good example of economic interdependence comes from the superstore chain system. Now, on my notes here, Walmart was used as an example. However, you can also apply the concept of superstore chain system with stores like SM, Robinson. So basically, what happens there is that these superstore chains sell the products of hundreds of companies. Now, these stores rely upon these manufacturers and companies for the production of goods to be sold in stores like SM and Robinson. On the other hand, the companies and the businesses that produce these goods are dependent on stores like SM and Robinson for the sale of the product. And both parties in turn are dependent upon each other for the fulfillment of their needs. So again, another example of economic interdependence. Okay? Now, with the second concept, which is economic integration, we and also with the third one, political integration, we would be further discussing it with examples from the succeeding slides. Basically, when we say economic integration, it is a process whereby countries cooperate with one another to reduce or eliminate barriers to the international flow of products, people, and capital. Basically, um, it is the creation. I mean, one good example of economic integration in the global interstate system or in the contemporary world is the creation of international organizations that regulate international trading. So these organizations, we will be discussing them in a bit as well. Okay. Another example of economic integration in the global interstate system, and one that can really be observed in the contemporary world, is, for example, the presence of EU or the European Union. If you would notice, their member states or the members of the European Union, they all utilize euro as their primary currency. Okay, and the third one, political integration, it refers to the integration of components within the political system. In the same vein as economic integration, it it actually refers to the improvement of the flow of products, people, and capital. However, this improvement comes from policy making and law making, okay, within the political system. One good example of political integration is also the presence of international organizations that are able to mandate its members to create policies and laws that would effectively affect how they trade with other countries. Now, I actually keep mentioning these organizations that that are um, that are associated with the global interstate system. So, what are these organizations that I'm talking about? So, basically, I'm talking about what we call international organizations. So, basically, the definition of an international organization is that it is an organization that is established by it's established by a treaty or any other instrument that is governed by international law, and it possesses its own international legal identity. Okay? So, to cut it short, it's established through an agreement in between two or more countries. Now, further down the line, we have several types of international organizations. We have the Intergovernmental Organization, or the IGOs. We also have the International Non-Governmental Organizations, or the INGOs. And third, we have the multinational enterprises, MNEs, or you can actually call them multinational corporations. And we'll be discussing each of them. So, first one is Intergovernmental Organization, or IGOs. Now, these are the organizations that that is built or that is established through an agreement or a treaty in between two or more countries. Another definition is that it is an organization composed primarily of sovereign states, or in other words, countries as well, and they are referred to as member states. Now, what we have here is a few of those um, intergovernmental organizations. Probably you are familiar with the other organizations listed here: the ASEAN, Association of Southeast Asian Nations; EU, European Union; World Trade Organization; the NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement; and the OECD, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. And coincidentally, the Philippines is actually part of a couple of these intergovernmental organizations. Now, what is being discussed here are information about each of these intergovernmental organizations. So, I'll leave these parts to you for you to read. They contain information about each of these IGOs. So, we'll pass through here. I'd like to discuss next the International Non-Governmental Organizations, or INGOs. So, as opposed to the governmental organizations, the INGOs, it is a group or an organization having members from more than one country. It can either be a government or a non-governmental organization. It can be a for-profit or non-profit. Um, One major difference of the INGO versus the IGO is that a treaty or an agreement is not necessary in creating INGOs. Further down the line, there are also several types of INGOs. Now, we have the BINGO, or the Business Friendly International NGOs. One good example would be Red Cross, which actually has different chapters in different parts of the world. We also have ENGO, environmental NGOs. One example for this would be the WWF, or the World Wildlife Fund. Here in the Philippines, we do have several other organizations like Haribon, Habitat for Humanity, and these organizations actually have chapters also in different countries. Now, the third one is the GONGO, which is a government organized non-governmental organization. So basically, the GONGO is still considered a non-governmental organization. However, the difference of the GONGO with other NGOs is that it can be partly supported by the the government or the host country. For example, we have IRI, which is located in Los Baños, Laguna, International Rice Research Institute, which basically studies rice with the aim of producing high quality, high yielding rice. So they they basically are a an organization which is partly funded by the Philippine government. So you would see there it's basically government organized, but still it is an NGO. Okay, so that is GONGO. Now we go on to the third one, which is the multinational enterprise (MNE), or you can also call it MNCs, multinational corporation. It is an enterprise or a business that produces goods, delivers services in more than one country. And we have a lot of examples of MNEs, MNCs in the Philippines. So we have popular household brands like Unilever, Johnson and Johnson, Pfizer, and these are actually businesses that you can also find in different countries around the world. Now, what is discussed here in this table are actually the advantages or disadvantages of a country having multinational enterprises or having these kinds of businesses. Now, I would suggest at this point that since the terms on the table here are quite complex, I actually compiled on my notes a number of advantages and disadvantages of the multinational enterprises. Okay, so let's go first with the advantages. So, production cost can be reduced. MNCs can set up their manufacturing plants in various countries, which help them make production much more cost efficient. They get the benefits of increased production and they can also grow their brand. Another advantage of having MNEs is that they are able to deliver good quality products due to the global manufacturing process. Access, companies can get a chance to get good raw materials which help them come up with good quality products. Now, great products will basically grow their brand name in the local market as well as the global market. The third advantage of MNEs is that basically growth is high compared to other local companies. Multinational companies can actually pay more to their employees, which makes the employment in MNCs more attractive to our labor force. MNCs give local taxes that also help in the country's economic development. Aside from that, they are also involved in charity work like donations, schooling programs, feeding programs, environmental restoration programs. However, because of that, they do sometimes get tax exemptions and tax holidays. Okay? Fourth one is that MNCs excuse me, MNCs provide more employment. Now, they give chances to local laborers as they know the culture of the places that help to manufacture their products according to the needs of the locals. See, now, because of that, they can actually hire more local laborers, which help the companies grow, and in turn it helps the local community grow as well. And lastly, and probably the what I think is the most beneficial is that MNCs tend to create innovation or new inventions. More products that are useful are invented as the local laborers help them give more understanding of their equipment, and also with the help of other employees. So basically, those are the advantages of having multinational enterprises or multinational companies in a host country. Now, while there are advantages to having them, there are also disadvantages. Now, first one is excuse first one is the exploitation of laborers. So most sometimes multinational corporations give all the facilities to locals to learn the skills, and after that, when the company starts to make profits from the locals, the laborers or the locals don't get any surplus profit, and um, they are struggling with what income they are hired for. So there's really no room, or there's limited room for the improvement of wages or salaries. So in that sense, the exploitation of laborers is possible on a multinational enterprise setup. Second is that sometimes MNEs or MNCs can dominate the host country's supremacy. So as they grow, as they build their assets in the host countries, as the business grows, indirectly their power in the political sphere grows as well, as they pay local taxes and give more employment to the people. It sometimes overshadows the role of government. Third is that it increases pollution as MNEs use local raw materials to get more benefits, and as they manufacture them, as they grow, more natural resources are used and sometimes exploited, and the manufacturing processes sometimes also contribute to air and land pollution. Another disadvantage is that sometimes they may just import skilled laborers. So normally, to get quicker results, they can hire skilled laborers from other countries, which may affect the employment rate of the host country. There's also a job risk for the local employees, as these MNCs can fire the laborers for their benefits, or if they implement cost cutting, or if they tend to downsize. And lastly, there is a real possibility that MNEs can build legal monopolies. Now, as the government treats each location as their own entity, even though the assets are controlled by multinational corporations, MNCs still have the freedom to handle their businesses their own way. So there's because of that freedom, there's little government intervention, and sometimes companies use them to create a monopoly, which in the legal sense is, or I mean, sometimes MNCs, um, since they're not intervened much by the government, some some MNCs are able to make a monopoly of a good or a service. One good example of that would be Meralco. For the longest time, Meralco has been the sole provider of electricity for most of the country. It's just so during the recent years that electric cooperatives have sprung up and have divided the market. But before, Meralco is the main player when it comes for electricity. Another good example is the Grab, the car hailing service app. Okay, so for a time, Grab in Metro Manila was the only car hailing app available. Now, but today, car hailing as a service has been decentralized by other services like Angkas, Uber. But before, there was a time that Grab had monopolized that kind of service. So again, sometimes companies are able to monopolize a good or a service, and since the government um, promotes the open flow of goods and services, they have little to no control over how multinational companies run their businesses. So that's one of the downsides of having multinational enterprises in in the country. Okay? So that would be it for the global interstate system. I hope that you are able to pick up points from our discussion. I understand this is a first for our discussion, this video discussion. Um, I would like to make it a point to you that if you have any concerns or reactions about this kind of format of lecture, please let me know. I am very much open for suggestions and constructive criticism so that we're able to adjust and improve our discussions moving forward. Again, thank you for listening, and I'll see you next meeting. Thanks. Bye.